The paranormal. It's a word that evokes images of ghosts, spirits, haunted houses, and eerie encounters in darkened rooms. But why do so many people around the world believe in the paranormal? Despite all the scientific advancements, rational explanations, and skepticism, the belief in the supernatural remains surprisingly strong. From ancient civilizations to modern times, humans have held on to these mysterious beliefs, often treating them as explanations for things they don't fully understand. But what is it about the paranormal that continues to captivate so many? Is it a psychological need, a cultural artifact, or something more? The statistics might surprise you. According to a 2020 YouGov survey, nearly half of all Americans, 45% to be exact, say they believe in ghosts. That's not a small number, and the percentages are even higher in many other parts of the world. In today's video, we'll explore the historical roots of paranormal beliefs, the psychological explanations behind them, how culture and media fuel these ideas, and what modern science has to say about them. We'll also dive into some controversial debates between believers and skeptics, as well as look at how technology has impacted modern paranormal investigations. Along the way, we'll break down some fascinating studies, data, and statistics that shed light on why the belief in the paranormal is more widespread than you might think. Whether you're a firm believer in the supernatural or a staunch skeptic, this exploration of the paranormal will challenge your views and make you think more deeply about one of the most enduring human beliefs, the deep historical roots of paranormal belief. The belief in the paranormal is far from a modern phenomenon. In fact, it goes back thousands of years, deeply rooted in the cultures of ancient civilizations that viewed the world through spiritual and supernatural lenses. Understanding why so many people believe in paranormal phenomena requires looking at how ancient peoples used the supernatural to explain their world. Take ancient Egypt, for instance. The Egyptians believed in a concept of the soul and an afterlife, where spirits of the deceased would live on in another realm. The elaborate burial practices, including mummification, were designed to ensure the soul's safe passage into the afterlife. Spirits were not only thought to exist, but were seen as an active force in everyday life. This belief in spirits shaped everything from Egyptian architecture to their legal system. In ancient Greece, belief in the paranormal took the form of mythology and the gods. The Greeks believed in an entire pantheon of gods who controlled different aspects of life and nature. From storms to fertility, nothing happened without a supernatural cause. Greek myths are filled with ghosts, spirits, and encounters with the dead. The underworld, ruled by Hades, was seen as a real place that souls traveled to after death, and mortals sometimes encountered ghosts, called shades, during their lifetimes. We also see a profound belief in spirits in the Native American tribes of North America. These indigenous cultures believed in the presence of spirits that controlled natural forces and shaped their world. Spirits were thought to reside in the wind, the water, and the animals around them. They also believed that their ancestors continued to guide and protect them after death, and rituals were performed to honor and communicate with these spirits. The integration of the paranormal into their everyday lives made these beliefs deeply meaningful and significant. It wasn't just in ancient times that belief in the paranormal shaped society. Even in medieval Europe, belief in ghosts, demons, and witches was widespread. The Catholic Church played a significant role in perpetuating these beliefs, particularly during the Inquisition, where accusations of witchcraft or demonic possession could lead to severe punishment or execution. During this period, the belief in spirits and the supernatural was not just accepted, it was the law of the land. One reason that belief in the paranormal has persisted is its ability to explain the unexplainable. In ancient times, natural disasters, diseases, and mysterious deaths were often attributed to supernatural forces. Without the scientific knowledge that we have today, the paranormal offered a way to make sense of the world. This need to understand the world around us, even if it means turning to the supernatural, is something that humans have carried with them for millennia. According to a Pew Research Center survey conducted in 2018, around 36% of people in the United States believe in ghosts. In other parts of the world, this number is even higher. In the Philippines, for example, 61% of people believe in the supernatural, including ghosts and spirits. In Mexico, the Day of the Dead festival is a cultural event where it is believed that the spirits of the dead return to visit the living. These festivals show how deeply ingrained the belief in spirits and the paranormal is in many cultures worldwide. Across cultures and time periods, belief in the paranormal has been tied to the desire to explain life, death, and the unknown. Whether it's through ancient rituals or modern ghost hunting techniques, humans continue to seek answers to the questions that science has yet to explain. Psychology behind paranormal belief. So, what is it about the human brain that makes some people more inclined to believe in the paranormal than others? Let's take a closer look at the psychological theories behind these beliefs, beginning with the concept of illusory pattern perception. Humans are wired to recognize patterns even when none exist. It's a survival mechanism. In prehistoric times, our ancestors had to make split-second decisions to survive. Was that rustling in the bushes a predator? Was that strange shadow a threat? Over time, our brains evolved to be hyper-vigilant, picking up on patterns and cues that might signify danger. The downside of this is that it leads to false positives, seeing patterns where there are none, and sometimes attributing those patterns to supernatural causes. A study by Whitson and Galinsky, published in Science in 2008, explored this phenomenon by showing how people are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories and paranormal phenomena when they feel a lack of control over their lives. In other words, when we can't explain something logically, we're more likely to attribute it to a higher power or unseen force. This is why, in times of crisis or uncertainty, belief in the paranormal often spikes. Next, there's the concept of confirmation bias. This refers to the tendency to interpret information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. If someone believes in ghosts, they're more likely to interpret a creaky floorboard or flickering light as evidence of a haunting, even when a more rational explanation, such as faulty wiring, exists. This is a self-reinforcing loop. The more evidence someone believes they're gathering, the stronger their belief in the paranormal becomes. Another critical psychological concept is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when a person experiences a conflict between their beliefs and new information or experiences that challenge those beliefs. Rather than abandon a deeply held belief, many people find ways to reconcile the two. For example, someone who has a paranormal experience, like seeing a ghost, may feel cognitive dissonance because it conflicts with their rational understanding of the world. To resolve this discomfort, they might adopt paranormal beliefs to explain the experience, even if they previously didn't believe in ghosts. One fascinating psychological study conducted by the University of Illinois showed how cognitive dissonance plays a role in paranormal belief. The study found that individuals who experienced paranormal-like phenomena, such as hearing unexplained noises or seeing strange lights, were far more likely to adjust their worldview to incorporate paranormal beliefs, even if they had been skeptical before the experience. The need for control is another psychological factor driving belief in the paranormal. Humans have an inherent need to feel that they are in control of their environment. When things happen that are beyond their control, such as the sudden death of a loved one, a natural disaster, or even just a series of bad luck, people may turn to the paranormal to explain these events and restore a sense of control. Believing in ghosts or spirits allows people to feel that there's a greater force at work, even if that force is unseen or mysterious. In a 2017 study published in the journal Psychological Science, researchers found that participants who felt a loss of control over their environment were more likely to believe in supernatural forces. The study also found that people who believe in the paranormal tend to have higher levels of intuitive thinking rather than analytical thinking. Intuitive thinkers rely on gut feelings and emotions to make decisions, while analytical thinkers rely on logic and evidence. This difference in thinking styles might explain why some people are more likely to believe in the paranormal than others. There's also the role of trauma and emotional distress in paranormal beliefs. Studies have shown that people who experience traumatic events, such as the death of a loved one, a serious illness, or a near-death experience, are more likely to report paranormal experiences. These experiences often provide comfort during difficult times. The belief that a deceased loved one is watching over them or that their spirit remains present can help people cope with grief and loss. For example, a 2014 study published in the Journal of Nervous and Mental Disease found that individuals who had lost a loved one were significantly more likely to report experiencing paranormal events, such as sensing the presence of the deceased or hearing their voice. These experiences were more common in individuals who struggled to process their grief or who had unresolved emotions related to the loss. In short, paranormal beliefs can serve as a psychological mechanism for coping with emotional distress, uncertainty, and a lack of control. They provide explanations for the unexplainable, giving people a way to make sense of their experiences and the world around them. The impact of culture and media. Now, let's dive into the role that culture and media play in perpetuating belief in the paranormal. You've probably seen TV shows like Ghost Hunters or Paranormal Activity movies, or maybe you've stumbled across videos of supposed ghost sightings on YouTube or TikTok. But have you ever stopped to think about how these portrayals influence what people believe? Let's start with culture. Around the world, many cultures have long traditions of believing in spirits, ghosts, or supernatural beings. In Japan, for instance, the concept of yurei, or wandering spirits, dates back to the Edo period and continues to influence Japanese culture today. Yuri are often depicted in horror movies and folklore as vengeful spirits who have unfinished business in the mortal realm. The belief in yurei is so pervasive that it even influences how homes are sold in Japan. Houses where someone has died unnaturally, such as through murder or suicide, are often stigmatized and sold at a lower price, as potential buyers fear the presence of a lingering spirit. In Mexico, the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, is a significant cultural celebration where it's believed that the spirits of the dead return to visit their loved ones. This festival, which has roots in indigenous Mesoamerican beliefs, is not only a celebration of life, but also an acknowledgement of the presence of spirits in everyday life. In the West, cultural beliefs in the paranormal have evolved but remain strong. For centuries, European folklore was filled with stories of ghosts, witches, and other supernatural beings. These tales were often passed down orally from generation to generation, becoming deeply ingrained in the cultural fabric. In modern times, these stories have been adapted into books, movies, and television shows, perpetuating belief in the paranormal. The influence of media on paranormal beliefs cannot be overstated. Studies have shown that exposure to paranormal-themed media increases belief in the supernatural. For example, a 2019 study published in the Journal of Broadcasting and Electronic Media found that people who regularly watched paranormal reality shows like Ghost Hunters were more likely to believe in ghosts and other supernatural phenomena. Even social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube have become breeding grounds for paranormal content. A quick search for ghost sightings or paranormal activity on these platforms will reveal thousands of videos claiming to show real paranormal events. Some of these videos rack up millions of views, further spreading belief in the supernatural. The rise of viral paranormal content has given believers a platform to share their experiences and find others who share their views, creating online communities where belief in the paranormal is reinforced. A 2020 survey conducted by Statista revealed that 38% of Americans who believe in ghosts cited personal experiences as their reason for belief, while 28% attributed their belief to media exposure. This shows just how influential cultural narratives and media portrayals can be when it comes to shaping people's beliefs in the paranormal. The science and neuroscience of paranormal experiences. So far, we've explored the historical, psychological, and cultural reasons why people believe in the paranormal. But what does science have to say about it? Can modern neuroscience and psychology explain paranormal experiences? One of the most compelling areas of research in this field is the study of the temporal lobe. The temporal lobe is responsible for processing sensory input, including auditory and visual information, and it also plays a role in memory storage. Studies have shown that people who experience disturbances in the temporal lobe, whether from epilepsy, trauma, or even stress, are more likely to report paranormal experiences. A landmark study conducted by Dr. Michael Persinger at Laurentian University in Canada involved stimulating the temporal lobes of participants using weak magnetic fields. The results were fascinating. Many participants reported experiencing sensations of a presence in the room, hearing voices, or seeing shadowy figures, all of which are common descriptions of paranormal encounters. However, these experiences were purely the result of altered brain activity, not the presence of any supernatural force. Dr. Persinger's research suggests that some paranormal experiences could be the result of misinterpreted neurological signals. In other words, what people perceive as ghosts or spirits might actually be the brain misfiring, creating the illusion of a presence when there's nothing there. Another area of research involves sleep paralysis, a condition where a person wakes up but is temporarily unable to move. During this state, people often report seeing shadowy figures or feeling a malevolent presence in the room. Sleep paralysis is caused by a disruption in the transition between REM sleep and wakefulness, and while it can be terrifying, it has a scientific explanation. However, many people who experience sleep paralysis interpret these sensations as paranormal encounters, further fueling belief in the supernatural. There's also the phenomenon of infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that are below the threshold of human hearing but can still be felt. Infrasound has been shown to cause feelings of unease, anxiety, and even hallucinations in some individuals. In environments where infrasound is present, people might attribute these unsettling feelings to a ghostly presence, when in fact, it's the sound waves that are responsible. While science can explain many paranormal experiences, there are still those that defy easy explanation. Some researchers argue that just because science hasn't figured out how to explain a phenomenon yet, doesn't mean it's not real. As science continues to evolve, new explanations for paranormal experiences may emerge. Until then, the debate between science and the supernatural rages on. The skeptics versus the believers, a controversial debate. The belief in the paranormal is deeply polarizing. On one side, we have the skeptics, scientists, rationalists, and critical thinkers who argue that paranormal beliefs are the result of cognitive biases, psychological factors, and misinterpretations of natural phenomena. On the other side, we have the believers, who argue that just because science hasn't figured everything out, doesn't mean paranormal phenomena don't exist. Let's start with the skeptics. One of the most famous figures in the skeptic community was James Randi, a magician and escape artist who dedicated his life to debunking paranormal claims. Randi famously offered $1 million to anyone who could prove a paranormal ability under controlled scientific conditions. Despite numerous attempts, no one ever claimed the prize, leading many skeptics to argue that there's no scientific basis for belief in the paranormal. Skeptics often point to the lack of empirical evidence for paranormal phenomena. While there are countless stories of ghost sightings, UFO encounters, and psychic abilities, none of these claims have been consistently demonstrated under controlled conditions. Additionally, many paranormal claims can be explained by natural phenomena, psychological factors, or even hoaxes. For example, many haunted locations have been found to have high levels of infrasound, which can cause feelings of unease and hallucinations. Similarly, many UFO sightings can be explained as misidentified aircraft, weather balloons, or even optical illusions. Skeptics argue that once you apply scientific rigor to these claims, the evidence for the paranormal quickly falls apart. However, believers argue that science has its limits. Just because something can't be explained doesn't mean it's not real. Many believers point to personal experiences, things they've seen, felt, or heard that defy explanation. For them, the paranormal is not just a theoretical concept, it's a lived reality. There's also the argument that science is not yet advanced enough to explain everything. After all, there was a time when lightning, eclipses, and even diseases were thought to be caused by supernatural forces. It wasn't until science advanced that we learned the true causes of these phenomena. Believers argue that paranormal phenomena may one day be explained by science, but until then, dismissing them outright is close-minded. In recent years, the rise of paranormal investigations has further fueled belief in the supernatural. Shows like Ghost Adventures and The Dead Files feature teams of investigators using technology to detect paranormal activity. From EMF meters to thermal cameras, these investigators claim to capture evidence of ghosts and spirits. However, skeptics argue that these devices don't actually prove the existence of the paranormal. Instead, they say, these readings are often the result of environmental factors or equipment malfunctions. Despite the lack of scientific consensus, belief in the paranormal continues to thrive. According to a 2021 YouGov survey, 57% of Americans believe in at least one paranormal phenomenon, whether it's ghosts, UFOs, or psychic abilities. This shows that for many people, belief in the supernatural is deeply ingrained in their worldview. So why do some people believe in the paranormal? The answer is complex and multifaceted, shaped by a combination of history, psychology, culture, media, and personal experience. For some, belief in the paranormal offers comfort during times of uncertainty or grief. For others, it provides a sense of wonder and mystery in an otherwise explainable world. While skeptics continue to challenge the existence of paranormal phenomena, millions of people around the world remain convinced that there's more to the universe than meets the eye. Whether it's through ancient cultural traditions, modern ghost hunting techniques, or personal experiences, belief in the paranormal shows no signs of fading. As long as humans continue to experience the unexplainable, the debate between believers and skeptics will persist. And perhaps that's what makes the paranormal so intriguing. It offers a glimpse into the unknown, a reminder that there's still so much about the world we have yet to understand. In the end, whether you believe in ghosts or dismiss them as mere superstition, the paranormal continues to captivate our imaginations, challenging our perceptions of reality and reminding us of the mysteries that still lie beyond the reach of science.